Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello everybody, and welcome back to your favourite Radical Racing Challenge series on all of iRacing. This is probably the only one that's left. I am Aaron Smith, and I'm joined by Ron Morns, as always, with Samuli Kumo in the production booth. And Ron, we've got a fairly short grid here at Virginia International Raceway, but Virginia seems to be a bit of a fan favourite on the iRacing service. Of course, it is now free. Anybody can race on this track, and we were rather hoping we'd get more drivers this weekend, but seems like some people just decided to give this one a bit of a skip. But, you know, Ron, what's your expectations going into this race?
Well, it's kind of like visiting a town in the middle of nowhere in North Dakota. It's a bit of a ghost town for this race, so I think we're going to have a pretty spread out field. We got the likes of Felix Samoas up at the front. He's been a contender throughout throughout all this season. We have some guys here who we've never seen before, who, respectfully, we don't really know how they drive. We'll just have to wait and see for the 13 laps today, but I think we're going to have a pretty spread out field, and I'm going to be brutally honest, probably not the best racing in the world.
Yeah, this track's a bit picky and choosy with how it races, as sometimes you can get amazing racing, like we saw in our very own ARA Formula 4 Championship. You can go watch that. It was streamed a few weeks ago here on Apex Racing TV, and it was a fantastic race. Gonzaga struggling there in one of the more tricky parts of this circuit, just not hitting that curb the way he wanted to, and has to tow back to the pits, and probably going to start somewhere near the back. But yeah, as we were discussing before the broadcast went live, Samuli made a very good point that this track is quite fun to hot lap actually in any car, but for racing, it's a bit more difficult than that.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty challenging, so a lot of these drivers are going to be on the limit, and that doesn't really lend itself to the best racing in the world. When you think of tracks with amazing racing products, you think of really heavy braking zones, long straightaways. This track really doesn't have that, and the one straightaway that we do have just goes into a series of medium speed corners that doesn't really bode well for overtaking. But it will be a challenge for these guys to try and keep it on the road, and hopefully we have a clean race. Ooh, very wide there, running on the curb quite badly. Quite high curbs here. You know, I've touched on this a lot throughout this season, how the curbs can affect these cars. And yeah, as we see through that roller coaster section there, through the dip there, yeah, the bumps and the curbs really can affect these cars, as we saw earlier, that driver spinning off after hitting the curb quite badly there. And what do you think about the curbs? How do you think they're going to affect this race?
Well, we know how these high downforce cars, especially on iRacing, hate these big curbs, but I actually think this is one of the tracks that you might be able to take advantage of those higher curbs, as the way they work on this track is a little bit more different than you'd expect compared to other tracks. The way the curbs rise and fall into these corners, it allows you to take a lot more of them than you would at other tracks, and that's why today we can see the likes of Blanco, as he's about to cross the line, using a little bit more than you would otherwise at certain tracks. Is Blanco up there at all? I think his lap may have been disallowed. He's going to be starting a little bit further down than he would have wanted, and we've got some familiar names at the top of the timing sheets, but we've got Myron Iani, actually, who's currently on pole. Unless Philip Spencer can do anything about that, which I believe he's already used up all of his laps, I think Iani is going to be on pole for this one. We've only got 10 seconds left and no one else is out on track, so it's looking like the Italian is going to grab his first pole position in this series so far. And, you know, congratulations to him. We always love seeing different competitors at the top of the timing sheets, and, well, you know, the top three separated by about a tenth of a second. So we were saying it could maybe get a little bit touch and go at the top, but who knows what's going to happen.
Surprisingly close. Yeah, surprisingly close so far.
It's a relatively shortish lap round here, but it's Maroniani, though. The number 6 on pole here. Philip Hook in second place. Felix Samoes in third. Philip Spencer in fourth. Diego Agaslais in fifth place. Andreas Frederick in sixth place. Rafael Blanco in seventh. Ryson in eighth. Gonzaga in ninth. Sigmund in 10th place. Robertson in 11th. And Negrini in 12th. And your last place man, David East, who did not set a time. The bottom three didn't even set a time. So I think that's that battle for the top four looking really, really spicy. And I think you're going to have to agree with me there, Ron, as you so often do.
Yeah, we've had a series of interesting races. We've had some first-time winners. We've had some very interesting racing. And we've also had 2 start crashes so far this season. So maybe those guys that didn't qualify just decided not to qualify so they couldn't get caught up in that mid-pack melee at the start.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult one to tell because the Virginia's very much the mixed bag. It can either go very, very smoothly or it can't, and everyone will die. But we're going to find out. We've got 13 laps here, just waiting for the final few drivers, Brighton and East, to take their spots on the grid. I think East might not even give this one a go. He might sit this one out, as he didn't show up in qualifying and looks to not be showing up now, but I believe he has lined up. And we're getting ready to go here in Virginia, and we are away for this race. And Iani gets off to a decent start, and Blanco overtaking Brighton and off the line. We got a little bit of a battle going on in the background, and that's a big crash at the start, and that's Hook going off and Spencer as well. 2 people who started on the front 2 rows already off into the grass, and that's pretty much their chances of winning this race over and done with, as Gonzaga making up a few places. Everyone making up a few places. I think that's Negrini spinning off in the background as well. Heard some tire squealing. He's just about clonked the wall. And wow, we've already got some big action. 2 big names. Yeah, I think another car might have had some incident. But 2 big names at the top already having an incident. And look at that, Samoa is already in the lead.
Yeah, that was a fantastic start from Samoa as he immediately went 3 wide, and that might have been the catalyst for the contact there between Iani and, I believe that was, Philip Vandenhurk going into turn 1. That was strange on my screen. They, like, merged into each other. That was a strange incident, but I think that was really just a racing deal. What do you think?
I think we'll have to get a replay, because going 3 wide like that into turn 1, not really recommended. I couldn't really see that working, and yeah, unfortunately 2 cars going out there, but we'll get a replay of that later on. But now we're going to focus on the action up ahead as Blanco makes his way up into second place. Didn't have a very good qualifying, but this man is well known for having good speed in these cars, but can often put his mistakes into action. So we'll see if he can keep it on the track. But speaking of which, Felix Simoes has gone off the track and is off at the last corner and has had an incident. I think someone else has followed in him behind, just going a little bit further out is the number 10 car. But that's already 3 big names who started on the front 2 rows who've slipped all the way back to the back of the pack. And Blanco, as far as to say, he might have this one in the bag, but Iani might be able to be the only one to challenge him.
Yeah, I mean, it was going to be like a dream start for Samoas. We're going to get a replay of the start here. Now, keep an eye on these front 3, obviously. Very poor start there from Vandenberg. He was very slow off the line. Great start from Samoas. He immediately goes 3 wide, and ooh, I don't think Samoa's going to the inside there really caused that. I think Iani ran wide, and Berg tried to go into the turn, seeing that asphalt ahead of him just disappear. So, very interesting race so far for the front 3 starters. Samoa's went off. Iani was involved in that incident. Herc, of course, was the biggest loser from that incident at turn 1.
Yeah, it was a rather strange incident. They kind of, as you said, just sort of merged together into one radical SR10 blob. It was really rather strange, and unfortunately means that our big battle that we were expecting at the top has been rather spoilt, as Blanco seems to have this race under control at the moment. But Hook making moves on Samoas. I think Samoas has rather lost a bit of momentum after that mistake he made a lap ago. But yeah, only the top 6 now really in contention at all. But I think this race for these podium positions could get really, really interesting. I don't think anyone's going to be able to challenge Blanco unless he makes a mistake, which, you know, we've seen before. Don't count it out just yet. But yeah, I think this podium battle with cars behind as well is going to get really spicy, as Aglasais tries to go for a move and Reitinen tries to go for a move on Friedrich as he goes wide into turn 1, and Reitinen just sees that opportunity and thinks, thank you very much. That's my 5th place, up another spot. Reitinen having a good race so far, up 3 places, but it's Blanco up the most spots right now, as Friedrich tries to come back at Reitinen, but not really a great opportunity in this first sector to try and go for a move. But they just have to sit behind for now. I think Sigmund has made some kind of mistake behind. He's lost a lot of time. And Friedrich actually still isn't giving this one up. He's going to give Reitinen a run for his money. Oh, you don't see an overtake like that very often.
That was awesome. That was a great overtake there.
That was incredible.
Yeah, that took a lot of balls. That took a lot of guts, I guess, would be the PC term for that, to pull off an overtake like that. But that was a very brave overtake from him. I give him props for that, because that, as you said, that's not really a corner where you see many overtaking opportunities and many overtakes, period. That was full-on commitment there. I gotta respect that.
I think saying he has big balls is the right phrase to use there. I would have done the same. That was a spectacular overtake, and well, a race that we're not expecting to have too much action. Well, there you are. That's gonna be your big bit of action, and yeah, wow, huge respect to Friedrich. That was some huge, chunky titanium balls that he has, and yeah, wow, massive respect. I think he'll want to watch that one after the race, and I do not blame the man at all. But Reitinen might not be feeling the same though. He won't want to watch that one back. But you know what? Iani is keeping Blanco honest right now, as Hook sensed the fastest lap of the race, but he's a good 8 seconds back, so isn't really too much of a threat for these front 3 at the moment. Bit too much of a gap even for him, as we've only got around 9 laps to go in this race. It's going by fairly quickly at the moment, but it's not too long of a lap here, around 1 minute and 40, about mid 40-second mark that we're hitting in today's race. But yeah, I still can't believe that move on Friedrich. It's astounded me that much. I've never seen a move like that, especially round here. And off goes Wojciech again, the number 10, not having the best of day down in 10th.
Yeah, some of these drivers towards the back not really having a good day for them so far, but Frederick and Ryan, that battle, that was a very clean battle. That was a very awesome battle to watch, but it also cost them a bit. If you look at their last lap times, they were in the 144s and 145s, while the drivers around them were in the 143s and even the 142s. So think that hurt them slightly. I think now they're spread out from each other a bit. So I think they'll be able to kind of like put their hands to the grindstone, just kind of work towards it, trying to catch up to this front pack here.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mishmash of what do you do in this situation? Do you try and work together? Which would be the ideal option, but you don't even know if working together will work. And you might lose more time, who knows? It's in these shorter races, I think working together isn't really an option because you just don't have enough time to work together, as these races last 20 minutes, if that. You know, we've only got 13 laps here at Virginia, so not too much time to play with, and I think Iani has got decent pace. He just needs to just squeeze a little bit more out of that SR10 to catch back up to Blanco, but as long as Blanco doesn't make any mistakes, I think yeah, he's got it in the bag, and there's the commentator curse I've done for today. Yep, packing my bags, I'm off to the airport, and it happened last time, I think, with Blanco when I said he's got this in the bag, and then he, you know, bent it into a wall. So, yeah, he hasn't come for me yet. He hasn't put out a hitman on me yet. But, you know, if I don't appear for the next radical race, then you know why.
There you go. So, well, with moving on from that, I think the game plan for Iani at this point in the race is probably just some pressure on Blanco. You know, we've said he. Respectfully, he is a bit... Oh, there's Samoa's going off. Yeah, very tough race for him. Ever since that mistake from the lead where it just went off and dropped like a rock through the field, this has not had a good race. It's been a bad couple races for him so far. We were thinking, like, yeah, he's going to just win every race and clean the field out. And we had Sebring where he crashed in turn 1. We had last week where he battled wheel issues throughout and couldn't actually take qualifying or the race. Of course, we now have today where he's just really... and that mistake has just been struggling for pace ever since. But getting back to the point I was trying to make about Iani before Samoa's went off, I think his game plan is just to put pressure on Blanco. You know, we've said in the most respectful way, Blanco can make some mistakes. We've seen him make mistakes, some from the lead as well. So I think Iani, what he could do to try and snag the win today is just close to him and put some pressure on him. What do you think?
Yeah, as we see Friedrich really struggling to get this car under control under braking. Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, if I'm going to be honest. Blanco has pretty good pace at the moment, and Iani really isn't putting a dent in that gap, so he's got to do something. He's got to either pick up the pace a little or just put him under pressure somehow and try and force Blanco into mistake. But honestly, Blanco's looking pretty good right now, I've got to say. I think as long as he can just keep it on the track, keep it calm, keep it simple, he's got this one in the bag. But I think this battle, like I said, for the last few spots up to the podium, I think it's going to be a really interesting battle, as Friedrich has rather put a really he set some good laps over the course of this race, and of course that move on Wrighton and really just stunned everyone and their mums. None of us were expecting that at all, as there's a car going off. That's third place. I think that looked like a hardware failure. Iglesi's off the track. I'm not quite sure. That one looked incredibly strange from Friedrich's view. And
very far off there. We'll have to get a replay on that. Yeah, we're going to get a replay of it here. I wonder if he just lost control or had an equipment failure, as you said. We're going to get a replay. This corner is really tricky trying to get the braking right.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Just lost it on the curb. I think he touched the grass slightly there. Definitely touched the curb, as you can hear the as he hit the curb. Yeah, I mean, the curbs, they are forgiving at some points and just really kill your race at others. As we see, he's going from third now down to ninth. So really unfortunate, heartbreaking mistake. Number 9 car there.
Well, I mean, yeah, he was running in an absolutely beautiful spot up in third and was having a rather quiet race got up a few places after other people made a few mistakes, and was running a pretty good race. But now you got the likes of Gonzaga and Friedrich, who were battling for fourth, now battling for the last place on the podium. And I mean, it's got to be said, I think Friedrich, if he can make moves like that on Wrighton, you got to say he's got the upper hand at the moment. But of course, Gonzaga has the track position advantage. But I just think Friedrich looks a little bit better at the moment. Yeah, I just there's not much too much more to say about it. He's going to get the slipstream now, and is going to come up to these next corners, probably ahead. He's got the speed. He's got the overspeed into this corner. Is he going to be later on the brakes? Actually, no. Unsurprisingly, yeah.
I think that probably would have been a tricky overtake to do, because he would have been stuck around the outside going through there, and I think he might have been pushed off if Gonzaga wanted to get his elbows out. Yeah, that was. I think he had that move pretty much done. I think he just braked well earlier. He's gonna get a run here going onto the main straightaway.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a when, not if situation. He's gonna try and go for another move into turn 1 around the outside. Not an ideal place to be around that corner. He's nearly lost it, drifting it round turn 2. Yeah, just about kept it on the track, and now he's got Ryson and Hook all in his mirrors as Ryson tries to keep that 5th place at the moment. And who knows, if this keeps up, we might see 4 cars battling it out to 3rd sooner rather than later, as Philip is all over the back of Ryton. And are we going to see a repeat of Ryton and Friedrich? I think we might. This is going to be touch and go again. It's going to be a repeat. And again, Philip does what Friedrich did. And I think Ryton just... speaking of Friedrich, he's off the track.
Oh, boy. That's tough for him. I don't think he'll be able to recover from that. That's great move from Herc. Absolute commiserations to Frederick there. That's very easy corner to make a mistake on, as the car the road drops away from you going over that crest and just blind corner. So not really the most shocking corner to make a mistake on, but still very shocking mistake, especially on his part, going from he was running 4th now down to 6th. Tough break for him.
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of commentator curse there, saying that he looked like he had that in the bag and then made 2 mistakes on that last lap. And now Hook, who looks to be completely down now, might be able to get back onto the podium. He's going to have to set some decent laps, as Gonzaga is no slouch when it comes to defending. And Hook, though, seems to be a ragged dog after that 3rd place. And we'll see if maybe even Rytonen can keep on the back of Philip. And speaking of, that last lap move again, the same place for Rytonen. I just think Rytonen needs to just defend that inside. Otherwise, yeah, he's going to let Friedrich and Hook and whoever else wants to have a go just swoop around the outside and overtake him. As, once again, that was a very, very overtake. As Samuli, thank you very much for showing us a replay. We're going to be able to watch this beautiful move once again. And it takes balls. This takes balls. You have to trust. Yeah, you have to trust your opponent not to run into you. You have to have the grip, have the confidence, and he had all of those, as Friedrich didn't have any of that going into there, and unfortunately spun off and out of contention at the moment anyway for 3rd place. But at the moment, anything can happen in this race.
I'm sure Herc felt like he hit the lottery after getting the move done, and then seeing Frederick go off there just in the span of a couple corners. While Samoa's is frankly sinking, Samoa, as Felix Samoa's was sinking, Herc has really been swimming quite nicely in this race. He's been swimming like a beautiful, majestic swan in this race. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm not very good with animals, but he's been very fast so far in this race, and he hasn't made too many mistakes. And obviously he got caught up in that lap 1, turn 1 incident. Had that not happened, he probably would be up there and would probably be leading the race at the moment. So very, very solid run from him so far. We'll see if he can close it off in these final couple of laps.
Yeah, I got to agree. He has closed the gap to Blanco over the course of this race. I think when he first spun off, it was around 8.5 seconds, and now it's down to 7. So, yeah, I think he would have good speed up at the front, and Blanco looks like to have good speed, but Hercs is just that little bit better. And, who knows, had we also had Samoas and Spencer right up there as well, we could have a 5-car battle for the lead, but, some things just are not meant to be. But, yeah, Gonzaga surely feeling the pressure now of having that number 2 car in his mirrors. I know I would be pooing myself right now, as that 3rd place looking really, really tasty. to the the number 2 of Philip Hook in the background. As yeah, from this rear bumper view, you can really get an idea of how Gonzaga is feeling. As he just didn't get a good enough exit coming onto this back straight. But I think he's going to be safe just for this lap. But I think, again, it's just a matter of time. And what do you think, Ron?
Yeah, I think this is going to be the battle to look out for the final podium spot. Oh, Herc he was looking for it. Oh, very close. Closed up a lot in the braking zone there. I think he's going to have a great run coming onto the main straightaway. I think turn 1 might be the spot for him. You know, he had moment there on lap 1, but I think he might have a very great moment here on lap 11 if he can take this final podium spot. I think they had an even keel run, but Herc is going to have the slipstream. Isn't as close. Oh, now he really pulled. He's going to be stuck on the outside here. That's going to be a difficult overtake to pull off, and I don't think he'll be able to get it done. He might go for the switchback. Yes, he is. He's got that there. They're very close. They nearly touch. He's flashing his headlights. A little bit of psychological warfare. There goes for the inside. That is a commanding move. They made contact, I think. That was extremely close to contact. I think they might have hit each other. Could be wrong there. Don't want to make any accusations or anything like that, but that was, if he managed to pull that off, that would have been a commanding overtake.
I think they just about avoided contact, and when I say just, I'm talking centimeters. Like, that was incredibly close. And yeah, I think Gonzaga, he looks to be good at defending, but I just think he needs a little bit more pace. He's getting... Yep, Ron's balls just dropped. That's exactly how I felt. That was extremely close.
And my untimely yodeling there as they nearly made contact there. That would have been disastrous if they made contact through there.
Yeah, Frederick in the background having more issues as he nearly lost the car coming out of there and is now going to be overtaken by Spencer. We've not really seen much of Spencer since lap 1, but yeah, he's overtaking there for 6th place. But oh, this is going to be so close. These two do not want to give it up. Gonzaga wants that 3rd place. He's got the advantage in track position, but
now
Philip
look at
has the
Ryan closing
advantage.
up.
Yeah, I think
this might be a 3-horse race with 2 laps to go here.
Yeah, I think Reitinen's game plan is just going to have to sit behind and wait because he doesn't quite have the pace of these guys at the moment. He's just going to have to wait for an opportunity to pounce and see if he can gain anything from this. But Hook, it seems to be later on the brakes, but Gonzaga has track advantage, but I think Hook might be pulling... Oh, he spins the car!
No! Oh, no.
It was just a matter of time until someone made a big mistake. I think Reitinen's had his own mistake as well. He's off the track.
Oh, he is.
And yes, he is. He's going to... Oh, don't do that.
Oh,
that was
no.
extremely close. And it's just a race of attrition, solely trying to get back on the track after that mistake. He looks to be out of it now. And Philip will be absolutely kicking himself with that one. Gonzaga's going to run away with it. He's going to snatch 3rd. But Philip van den Hoek has absolutely bottled it on this 2nd to last lap. And I'm going to be honest, I did not see that one coming. He just tried to give it a bit of a bootful coming out of turn 2 and yeah, paid the price. We're going to see a replay of it here. I honestly thought he already had the move done, getting very close to Gonzaga, making contact. And then here we go into turn 1, tries to go around the outside, getting on throttle now. Yeah, that was a very strange spin.
I think a bump might have affected him there because there was a bump roundabout at the same time he spun it. You're gonna see right and go off. Yeah, just running wide. Right as I said that, it was going to be a 3-horse battle for the lead with 2 laps to go. 2 of them wrecked, so that's you gotta feel bad for her. You know, he was seeing red mist for a while. I was gonna chime in as they went onto the front straightaway last lap. How I think Reinen was probably gonna think, I'm gonna wait for these 2 idiots to crash into each other. Not that I'm calling them idiots. I'm just saying what Reinen's probably thinking. He was probably thinking, I'm gonna wait for these 2 to crash into each other and just in 3rd place if they wrecked. But it turns out complete opposite way. You know, Gonzaga, he's been decent in this series. You know, he hasn't put in any like worldly performances or anything like that. He's just been solidly quick and just was able to handle the pressure well, and Herc just kind of he
Well,
crumbled like a, well, as the British would call it, an aluminium can, as my hick accent would say, an aluminum can. But you know, just he was able to handle the pressure well. Gonzaga defended beautifully, had a lot of very close calls, those two, in the last couple laps, but just was able to manage it quite nicely, and I think he'll be able to manage a third-place finish as long as something catastrophic doesn't happen in these final few corners.
Well, it just goes to show if you can keep it on the track, you've definitely got a good result coming your way. It's honestly, it's shocking to see, and that spin really did look incredibly strange. I didn't see the car get unsettled on a bump or anything, to be honest, and it just looked like one of those spins you can't really explain, and it might be down to this car this season just not being up to standards.
Here's a guy up to standards.
Yeah.
Weaving on the back straightaway. He is going to be happy with this performance. Coming to the checkered flag, he is weaving. Rafael Blanco scores the win. Very dominant win from him. I mean, he was really uncontested. Ran a pretty good race. I think those were the only lockups we've seen him on the going into turn 1 on the cooldown lap. Only mistake we saw from him today.
Yeah, Blanco taking that victory there. Not really anything he did wrong today at all. Just watched everyone in front of him explode and just took the advantage of it as Iani rounds out those top two, and yeah, deservingly giving it a bit of a burnout. But Gonzaga coming home in third is not what I expected to see from this race, gonna be honest. But hey, you just never know in this series. People just, you know, flying off the track left, right, and centre this race, and yeah, sometimes you get good racing, sometimes you end up in a wall. So, you know, that's racing, and, you know, that's why we keep doing this, because you never know how you're going to end up at the end of these 13 laps. And, well, it was Blanco who ended up in front of everyone and didn't really look... He just looked flawless this entire race and is giving it the beans right now, as we would call it. And
yeah, he was on fire in this race, and so will his rear tires be after this cooldown lap, because that was one of the longest burnouts I've ever seen. I didn't even know if that was possible in iRacing. Maybe it's just a skill issue on my behalf, but
yes,
very, very good, very good race from these guys. It was interesting, you know. We had some guys that ran flawlessly and other guys that just had a lot of mistakes. You know, we never really mentioned him, but Greeny, who ended up F4ing out of the race around lap 6, had a lot of mistakes. Some of these guys had quite a lot of mistakes throughout this race. Other guys just ran flawlessly, and it's a very interesting race. We've had a lot of interesting races recently, and we've also had some first-time winners. So Blanco continuing that streak, having a very great drive from him today.
Yeah, it's good to see Blanco back at the top of the timing sheets. As I don't remember the last time I said that, but it's a day to feel good, you know. As Rafael Blanco is your today's winner. That sentence didn't make any sense, but you know what? I'm okay. Myron Iani coming home in second place. He had a fairly decent race as well, although I think he might have wanted to go one better, but second place is still good. Gonzaga, though, third place. He's surely going to be taking that one to the bank and storing it for the rest of time. And Philip Spencer coming home in fourth. Who would have expected that after lap 1? He started fourth, ended up in the grass on lap 1, and still finished fourth. So can't really complain with that result. He's going to be happy. Frederick in fifth. Maybe without those mistakes, he would have liked to have been a bit higher up on the grid. Philip Hook, after that mistake, is surely going to be just utterly distraught with himself. Felix Simoes as well could have had a better day if not for those mistakes. And the rest of your grid is as it is. As Iglesias, who was at one point in third, made another crucial mistake. Reitinen as well with a mistake, getting distracted with what happened to Philip in front of him. And then Sigmund, Wojciech, Negrini, and East round out today's race finishers. And yeah, once again, this car proving to be a driver's worst enemy, just not cooperating with some of these drivers. And do you know what? It looks a bit of a handful to drive.
Oh yeah, definitely a handful, and it's made for some interesting races of these guys just really trying to negotiate. It's like a hostage situation trying to drive this thing at times. So yeah, we saw a lot of mistakes. We saw Reinen. Yeah, I mean, he probably just got distracted from Herc's spin that he just didn't know where he was going and just ran wide and kind of threw away a chance at probably definitely a surefire 4th place finish. You know, I was in a driver's ed course earlier this year, and they talked about rubbernecking. Rubbernecking in real life can get you into an accident, but rubbernecking in iRacing can kill your chances of a decent run. So, tough break from him, tough break for some of these drivers, but also great drives from a lot of these drivers as well.
Yeah, a lot of these guys, you know, sometimes just keeping it on the road can put a smile on your face. And the top 3, the only ones not to make any mistakes, found that out. And yeah, just like we said a couple races ago, if you don't make a mistake, you could end up with a fantastic result. And today, it would have grabbed you a podium. So, you know, game's the game. But was a fantastic race here from Virginia. And yeah, unfortunately, no one's going to come say hi to us, which, you know, sad face. But I think today's race was better than we anticipated, Ron. Let's be honest, and I'm not complaining, and I don't think you are either.
Oh, definitely not. You know, we had pretty low expectations, if we're being brutally honest, as I kind of rudely point out in the other pre-race chinwag. But you know, we had a great race today. That was pretty awesome to commentate. We saw some balls to the wall moves, especially from Herc. He had a great move. Then Frederick had the first move. Same section, both very great overtakes, and just riding on board with Ryan when Herc pulled that overtake off. It was just the other meme from the F1 race at Coda a couple years ago, where that guy went up to the microphone and said "Neow." So that was a great onboard. That was a fantastic race, and hopefully we can have more races like that in the coming races.
Yeah, definitely, and hopefully we can have more drivers as well. So this is an advertisement for if anyone else wants to race in this series at the same time every single Friday. And we hope to see some of you out there on track. But that's going to do it for today. And of course, as always, we hope you guys enjoyed watching this broadcast. And we will see you same time next week. It's been a pleasure from myself, Aaron Smith, Ron Mons, and Smoothie Kuma in the production booth. And we will see you all next week.